Welcome back to the Nose Plays Endless Legend. So, I goofed at the end of last turn, and I replayed the first part of the turn and managed to do things properly. So, what we're able to do is, if we don't settle the city on turn 20, uh, you can see Empire cost is still only 20 influence uh, per tier. Once our second city goes down, the cost goes up to 40. So we needed to set this before we finished our settling. So I'm going to do that now. The second thing that we want to do is if you have any boosters, strategics or otherwise, that you can pop, it's always beneficial to try to knock them off right before you settle a city. If they're going to be useful to you. In this situation, this one in particular is going to be useful to us. If I activate this booster now, it's going to give me an extra 20% dust for the next 10 turns, and it's going to dramatically increase production of our strategic glass steel, excuse me, during the first winter, which is, if you can get that off with Vaulters, it's so big, it's going to give you a nice little pool of glass steel to build military units with early on. Just the amount of glass steel you're going to get is going to pay for itself. If I wait to do this till after my first city's down, it's going to cost an extra 5 to pop the same booster. So we're going to go ahead and do it now. Now, I also have these two. But I'm not going to use either one of them, and I'm not going to use them for two reasons. Number one, they're not very useful to us. Extra fortification and extra trade route gold is not all that beneficial. The second thing is the plus 10 approval is not going to put us fervent, nor is it going to keep us happy, because we're still going to be happy even with 2 cities down. We'll be at 65 in both cities, which is still happy. So not beneficial to us. The other thing is that because we have found several quantities of this, we have a large enough quantity that we can save this booster for later. I'm of the opinion that it's always beneficial, well, not always, but it's almost always beneficial to pop a booster when you don't have access to more of it. So like, for example, if we just had a stack of 10 of something that we're not able to mine more of right away, it makes more sense to get the benefit while you can in most cases. Sometimes it's good to save it for trade, or in case a minor faction asks you for stuff, if you're doing a lot of negotiating with minor factions. But if it's a useful benefit, unlike these two, it's generally better to just use it while you have, because otherwise it just sits in your inventory. The same is true with dust. You never want to just save a massive pile of dust unless you have a plan for it. But just accumulating tons of dust is a terrible idea. You always want to spend all the dust you have as often as you can, unless you're planning for something. Whether it's you're planning for a harsh winter and you're going to go negative for a while, you're planning to buy a hero, whatever it is you're planning for, you gotta be careful. I'm thinking we may not even purchase the first building like I had originally planned. I was going to purchase the mill foundry with my first city. That's what I was saving up my money for, because it's such a beneficial building to get down right away. But I think we may not even do that. We may hold on to this dust and try to get a hero in our city. Okay, so this is where we were at. Our settler got attacked right after we moved, which is we knew was going to happen. But because I didn't panic and put the city down right away, we managed to get the Empire plan. And I just went for the 20% science. The other thing we could have gone for that might have actually been the smarter play would have been the dust, because it would have ensured that we could have gotten the hero pretty quickly. But we'll see. We get the market in 6 turns, and that's with the science bonus. So, okay. Ooh, wow, that's brutal. That's, man, it's just so easy to click. Let's talk about what we don't want to do. So, what we don't want to do right now is we don't want to build this titanium deposit too quickly. The reason for that is if you know the faction quest, you know that the first part of the faction quest is assimilate, second part is build 2 deposits. If you've already built one before you assimilate, then the first one you built doesn't count. You still got to build 2 more, which is a pain, which is why the timing worked out really well for us in the last video. But as soon as you finish the second one, your cities get sieged by some relatively, let's just face it, very weak but still annoying monsters. If you don't have a couple of military units on your cities to stop the siege, it can really set you back. And so you want to be careful. I'm trying to remember, what, they wanted spices, I think, right? Yeah, so we need to get up there and give them some spices. I think that's what the... Gift 8 spices. Yeah. For pacification. I like that. Snark and Awe, that was the one that was way too far south. And this one, I'm not sure where that is. We'll look. Build 2 extractors. We have 1 of 2. We're going to get 2 of 2 very quickly. In fact, that might be worth rushing. So getting 2 extractors producing 4 spice a turn is basically going to allow us to run a food booster inevitably. And that also means that we want to have food. We may put our hero on hold. We want to rush. I want to get this food going. Our science is starting to take a while. We're positive, so I'm going to put them in this order for now. And then we're going to hold off on the titanium until I can get my military units up or back. I can always just move my hero over there if I need to take on the ones, but oh. Well, that's interesting. So that hit was a little more than I was anticipating. This one's more useful later in the game. So let's go ahead and boost. I miscalculated. But that fixes that problem. It cost me a little more than I care, but emeralds, eh. Alright. Next turn. That'll be enough time to get that up and running. And actually, actually may not even want to queue that up. In 9 turns, we may want to queue up either another settler or a couple marines. The building we're building will produce a fair amount of happiness, which means we can grow this city quite large without having to worry about the disapproval penalties quite so much. This city, on the other hand, could definitely use the approval sooner than later. We'll see how this goes. It's gonna go down quite a bit because we're gonna be cranking out population pretty fast here. In fact, on a turn we need 15. It won't take too long to get up there. It won't take too long. We're gonna be producing 4 a turn here pretty shortly. Nice. So 2 pretty decent starting weapons for our hero. We're probably going to get attacked here. And we are in no position to fight right now. That's even worse. Winter's here. So the cool thing about winter, when it comes to Vaulters, most races have a hard time with winter, but not Vaulters. Vaulters like the winter time. So I want you to notice that our production went from 2 to 6. So in 3 turns, we'll get a net positive gain. On our strategic. We spent 10 to activate that booster, and that's getting us dust. But because this winter, our holy resources, it triples the output. So that's going to be something else. So there's one. Augmented extractor. Unfortunately, getting this finished in the winter is not all that beneficial, so I'm actually going to switch these around and spend some time working on that. The reason is the seed storage is only plus 10 food during summer. The 15% is only a very small quantity of food, and to be perfectly honest, our food is good enough in both of our cities that even with the winter penalties, we're doing just fine. We're still growing, so we don't even need to move population over. So I think that's good. Now notice our spice. Each spice extractor is now producing 2 units for a total of 4 per turn. That's going to grow very fast. In 2 turns we'll be able to pop the booster, which will be fantastic. And we will do that right away. Actually, we may hold off a few turns. And I have my reason for that, which I'll explain. Reached a new era. The Iron Tier 2 weapons are available. Newly Heavily trained units will be level 2 and cost more. Empire Plan level 2 is unlocked. And a new set of legendary deeds. So this is one thing we did not look at. And I always forget to look at these. What are the legendary deeds? Be the first to activate 4 boosters. Well, we've activated 1. And we have in our possession 2 that we have not activated. So that's 3. That's 1, 2, 3. If we get another one, we might as well just pop all of them. That puts me at 72. Yeah, that's not going to be enough to get to Fervent, but the reward was emeralds. A lot of emeralds. Okay. We got to pick a new research, and we've unlocked an entire new tier. So I've already talked about what my focus is this game, at least in the early game, and it is going to, without a doubt, 100% be food. I think the population is undervalued in this game by a lot of players, and it doesn't always make sense to go for food in very, very high pop cities, but I think in our situation it absolutely does, for a lot of reasons. Number one, the double spice booster augmented the glass steel in our home region that allows us to build food buildings, and so we're just going to keep riding that gravy train as long as we can. Normally I would say industry is always the first thing that you want to unlock because it always speeds things up. You know, industry buildings get everything else built faster. It's no joke. But growing your population can do the same thing, and it's more flexible. So like, if I need dust, I can make dust through population. I can't do that with an industry building. And so while food is not always the most efficient way to get buildings up faster, if you have enough of it and you can grow your population quickly, it is the most flexible resource in the game because it can be anything you need. And you saw me manipulate it in the last video to get exactly the amount of influence I needed for my empire plan while still getting everything built that I wanted to in that first 20 turns. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to see if we can't pull off another really cool feat here. Oh yeah, grab those pearls. And see, we saved this. We're going to look for more pearls. We also have a little bit of territory over here that needs to be uncovered. Also, now's a good time to take a look. So yeah, heroes are already getting up there. I think we made the right call in not saving our money for heroes. A hero's gonna cost close to 400 by the time we get a chance to even buy one. And that's if we spend a fair amount of time just focusing on dust, which we might do here in the next 20 turns. Okay, one thing I do need to do while we're in our home territory is we need to upgrade our guys. We made it to tier 2. Now's a good time to go ahead and get our units equipped with the right gear. This is going to be a little bit pricey since I didn't forget, we just didn't have an opportunity to upgrade to tier 1. I like to keep the crossbow and the shield initially. I think the added defense is great, and point blank shot is useful. The bow is definitely better once you have dedicated frontline units and you can just leave these guys in the back line. Okay, retrofitting will cost all of our dust, but it's definitely worthwhile. Now, She has two really fantastic weapons that we can give her once we get our titanium online. But until then, yeah, I'm not gonna have enough dust for this. Can I at least give her the bow? Yes. Okay. I like to give my hero the bow. They're already tougher than a standard unit, so they can take a little more punishment, but having the extra damage is usually the right choice, I feel. When we get the titanium, we'll switch her to the fancy crossbow and shield that we have, but until then, this is probably the better choice. And so ends another turn. A new quest. Another sword. Well, this isn't... Alright. I mean... we were kind of going to head that way anyways, right? Now that we're capable of combat... Find the monsters in the unidentified, unspoiled ruins. Oh, in the identified show location. Well, you're sending me in two different directions here. I think that the sword is less important than getting these guys pacified. So, off this direction we go. We need a hero with a minimum level of 4. Our hero isn't even level 3 yet. So that's not going to work. I think that quest will last for quite some time, though. Alright, winter should be winding down here shortly. We've definitely taken more than 3 turns this winter. And so we're definitely... I mean, look at that. A stack of 30 glass steel already and still growing. I think we would mow these guys down. Mouse over them and look at their stats. So they have really high attack ratings, but their defense and damage is mediocre. 26 and 33, 76 hit points compared to our Marines. So lower attack, but we have 66 defense, more than double their defense, and 38 damage, so slightly better damage. Plus our hero. So not too worried about him. Alright. 2 turns. Oh, perfect timing. Alright, so now this is back up to happy because of the sewer being completed. And the seed storage will be done in 2 turns. Also, have this in 1 turn, and we can immediately expand a second time with our altar. So that's going just swimmingly. Get a burrow. We won't be able to set that down just yet, but we're going to build the triangle really early and get this growing ever so slightly quicker. Alright. I'm gonna throw that down just so we don't forget it. for nothing else than to keep the extra influence. They're kind of in our way. We can take a slightly different path. No need to fight just yet. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we had an opportunity to get spice activated sooner than we did. I wanted to wait for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want the spice to wear off right about the time that we want to reactivate it. And we want to reactivate it right before we lay down our third city, which is coming up here in about 10 turns, 12 turns to be exact. I also wanted to wait for summer. It's a % bonus, and wintertime reduces the bonus. So it's kind of, I mean, it helps offset the penalty for winter, but at the same time you get a bigger bonus by waiting till summer. The other thing is we've got 2 turns till this gets done. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to wait till we get the seed storage done, activate it, get a full 10 turns of the full amount that we can. And then as soon as it wears off, it'll be time to reactivate it right after we lay down our next settler. I'm a guy that tries really hard to get the settler down on the 20th turn. So turn 40 we'll be looking to drop a settler, and probably, I mean, looking at our options right now, it might even be this region. It might be. I mean, another spice is not, it's not that helpful, to be honest. We'll just have to see what we're able to uncover between now and then. There might be a better one, but if not, it's not worthless. It's just not great. Alright. There we go. First fight of the day. Notice we have major advantage. I'm gonna auto the battles. Not too worried about battles. Alright, we leveled up. Time for another point. Looks good to me. Ooh, pearls. Alright. Oops. Auto. Go. That was kind of close, so we definitely want to avoid combat for a little while. Oh man, we're gonna get a lot done this turn. Ooh, and glass steel. Alright, it's settled. We'll take this region. We have pacified the harness. So we'll start with an extra pop. We'll want to clear the last roaming army out of this tile. That also pacified this guy, which gives him an extra pop. And look at all this. We got wine. Okay, so we have our 4 boosters now. So we could get a bunch of emeralds if we wanted to. I'd say it's worth the emeralds. unfortunate thing is, how many turns till this wears off? 1 turn. Let's try to hold off 1 turn. And then we'll pop all of them, because we're going to lose this bonus. I hate using wine as an overkill, but... Alright, we already got this one. Oh! It is for wine. I thought it said emeralds. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh. So we just barely got the resources to do this, and somebody else took it. Wow. I'm glad I didn't pop those boosters yet. I was about to. Glad I didn't. Alright. Let's go ahead and end the turn. We'll grab the pearls, we'll head down, clear him out, go get these pearls, maybe look through here and see if there's any pearls. See some pearls over here. Pearls also give you experience, so it's a good idea when you can. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do thinking the next thing that we want to do is probably get outfitted with better weapons, but we don't have the titanium even up yet. And one thing that I really think is an underrated building is the Glory of the Empire. If your dust is in a good spot, Glory of the Empire can be a fantastic building for getting more approval influence points. Or approval influence points. But I don't think it's necessary. Trade routes aren't going to be much use to us yet, though it's a critical building. What's going to give us some dust? Dust is really what we really need. I can't build any of these yet. It's going to take me some time. You know, the one thing we could build, some deep generators. We have enough for 2 of them right now, though it will take all of our doesn't feel like enough science to justify the geomic labs yet. don't really have any threats. Man, this is a tough decision. I really don't see the best thing for us. I guess the deep generators? We'll grab that. We're going to be getting glass steel at a pretty good clip once we get this and we get them both going. So that's the plan. So let's get that pearl and then keep moving. Alright, so this is a good turn to make some decisions about. So spices are definitely going. I want to save the wine for later. 30 approval is a very powerful booster, and we have several more cities we can put up before it really becomes a problem. 25 wine will be able to be popped for quite a while still, but an extra 10 approval would put us above 90, which is enough to be fervent, and so I think that that's worth it. So these guys aren't quite there yet. We do have the public granaries to throw down, and we really the sewer system isn't as much of a importance as it once was. So I may move it back in the queue. In fact, we may take it out of the queue altogether. We need to get another settler up and find a spot over here. I'm kind of thinking maybe right here, but there's an approval buff. Yeah. This might be a good spot right here. Another anomaly over there that's real good too. We'll take a little closer look at that as we get close to the end of that turn. We need to start moving a little quicker here, and we're gonna leave that just like that for now. Looks like green is moving quickly. Okay, we got several pearl deposits up here that we can grab. I think we will, since we don't have a lot else going on. We already know where we're going to send our next settler. The experience is worthwhile. We do need to come back and take care of this guy, but I want to let my marine heal up a fair bit before we do, otherwise we're going to lose them in the fight. One thing we could be doing right now is running this booster for more dust. And since we're not planning on doing anything with, well, deep generators are going to be built soon, so let's keep it and save it for the deep generators. Be even better if we can snag this guy close to one of our cities, or both of our cities even. To take a peek at our empire approval. We're 8 turns away, and it's 40 dust for one of these. Eight turns, 8 times 6 gives us 80. We'll have enough for 2 tiers. Probably not more. Alright, we'll get rid of this guy. This turn. Stuff. Go get some pearls. And head over to this. Alright, so one of the things that I want to do during this next empire plan is build a right-sized army, and in doing so, we're going to go ahead and get the military tech, which gives us a total of 6. Take my turns a little quicker. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I remember this spot. That's where we started the game. Okay, deep generators, so whatever you set your holy resource to, the special altar buildings cost that resource. So these are really expensive, 20 a piece, but we actually have enough to queue up both of them. I'm gonna go ahead and queue both of them up, and it'll take away the all of the glass steel that we've managed to gather up until now. But those are permanently there, and we can move them around in the queue as we need to. The other thing is, I'm going to go ahead and queue up a couple Marines, and I may move them in front of the deep generators, but not right away. So we need to uncover this and then get over here and deal with that. I think she's... well, let's see. She is level 4 now, so yes. Yes, indeed. So there's a nice little cliffy ridge. That's a really good... Alright, 2 turns. Doesn't make any sense to do this. 4 times 8 is 24. That's 80. Yeah, not really. 6 times 4 is 24. Wait. 36. 90. That's 100. What can I do for 100? Nothing. 80 is as good as 100. This is probably what we'll end up doing. Which means we don't need any more influence. And we don't need to rush. Yeah, we'll just keep it going. Attacked by Nidia. Nidia, so one thing to keep in mind, flyers can attack over cliffs, so that's what's going on here. They're up on this cliff attacking from above, and because we have ranged weapons we can actually shoot at them still, but if we were melee this would be a very bad position for us. Yeah, they got a little damage in on all of us. We're gonna have to be careful not to run into anybody else for a little while. Ooh, another pearl. Alright. It's about time to figure out where we want our... Yeah, this is the only other good one. This is a good one, and building either on it or next to it might work out well for us. The problem with this spot is this stupid ruin is going to get in the way and mess things up. We'll just have to see once we get it made. Notice our totals are getting large enough that a 10% boost to everything is actually pretty sizable, and it will only grow. It'll only grow in time, so the sooner you get it down when you can, you know, the better. This is taking a little longer, but fight him. My guy's weak. One pearl is not worth the risk. We've got other things to do. Like, get over here. Actually, we can go there and parlay. Right. Just a couple turns left and we'll end the video. My plan is to do 20 turns exactly every video if I can. I'm kind of a stickler that way, but I'm sure there'll be situations where I go long. Alright. I'm gonna hightail it out of there. Back 12 titanium. Well, that's very doable. I would be happy to do that. Alright. If only we had started building titanium. We haven't done that yet. And we need to. So plan is to use the next 20 turns in the Empire plan to build a military. Obviously, a military is better when they have weapons. So if we're going to spend the next 20 turns building military units, we don't need more buildings queued up just waiting to be built. So building a lot of these things is not going to make a lot of sense. But for vaulters, what does make a lot of sense is getting alchemical alloys and alchemical armor. Now I like to get both of these with vaulters. I don't with a lot of other races, but vaulters get a benefit to the armor with their techno-lover trait. So their armor is actually way more efficient when it's made of this holy resource. The other thing that I might do is I actually might do them in this order. This one's a little more useful. The trinkets that it provides are more useful. We're not at any great threat of a war right now, so getting weapons up running right away isn't that critical. I do need to get some titanium going though. We've waited long enough for titanium. It's time. Well, it's almost time. This city may have to grow a little bit before. We have our settler, we're going to create him. Yeah, we're going to look at getting him out here. Now, I have a little trick I'll use sometimes if I want to move further. Let's take a look here. 7, 7, 13, 6, 10. 7, 7, 13, 6, 10. So I like this better than this. 12 food's fine, but 4 industry is pretty low, even with 14 science. This still has 13 science, but it's a little more even. I think that's the better option. It does put all 3 of our cities really close together. But so be it. The 10 approval will help. We can build a cool little building off of that at some point in the game. I'm not even probably going to throw down the extractor on that anytime soon, because we're just making more spice that we know what to do with anyways. So just queue up his movement there, and this will be the last turn. We're going to go over here and chat with these guys and get ready to build an army. Move now. This time, being careful, we'll do everything before the city. You should always lay down your city at the very end. So we're going to parlay. Make sure there are no enemies in the region in 5 turns. In 5 turns, we gotta beat 2 Kazanji. I think we could do that. My guys are almost healed. Go check that and then come back. We'll have to remember. Okay, Empire plan time. Bam, that's the main one I wanted to grab because it's going to reduce the cost of all of our Marines we're about to build. We're going to go ahead and apply. And then before we settle our city, we definitely want to boost a couple of other things. So the spice extractor is going to be going full board every 10 turns from now until eternity. And because we can, all of our cities are going to take an approval hit this turn. But we can go ahead and activate the wine booster to keep us fervent for the next 10 turns, which will be critical to getting this city going. So before we do it, I think we're going to go ahead and pop this booster as well, because we're going to take a 10-point hit on all of our cities. So that's going to push us up well above our 100 threshold. Drop our city. And I wanted to check, how close are we to getting a hero? We're really close to getting a hero. At 20, it'd be 1, 2... We're looking at 3 or 4 turns to get a hero at that quantity of dust. I think that's worth the wait. Just kind of throw everything down here. I'm probably going to adjust this order quite thoroughly. And definitely move these over for now. That's more reasonable. And that's pretty much it for this game. So I hope you're enjoying the series. I'm enjoying making it, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you when the nose once again plays Endless Legend.